Now let's take it back a little bit.
Okay.
What type of student were you in school?
I was a C student. I grazed by high school, not because I'm dumb, but because I just couldn't concentrate, and what I was learning didn't really interest me. I feel like the school systems need to focus more on what students want to do as a career rather so than just the basics of random stuff that nobody gives a shit about because it's a waste of time. So I just felt like I was wasting my time.
Now, did you finish high school?
Oh, yeah. I had to finish high school. My parents would have beat my ass if I didn't
I mean,
finish
some
high
people
school.
drop out. You
No.
never know.
I even went to college too for like 2 years, but I just figured out that it just was not for me. Like, I do not like school.
Now, your
But-
first 2 years of college, did you get your AA or did you miss
I
it?
didn't. Actually, I would say it was more so like a year and a half, so I didn't get my associates. But when I was in school, I was taking communications. But if I were to go back, I would probably take like marketing or something instead.
Now, why did you drop out? You said it wasn't for you, but is that the real answer, or is there something else behind it?
At the time, it was like, what was it, 2013? So that's like when my whole like little internet stuff started popping off, and I was like making a lot of money off of it, and I was just like, okay, so if I just keep building and capitalizing off of what I'm doing online, what do I need to go to school for? I mean, it sounds kind of dumb to people. Like, they're like, oh, you can't just live off social media forever. But you can build a brand off social media and live off of a brand forever. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do.
Now, what is your stance on college for somebody watching this interview thinking about enrolling? Because there's different beliefs with college. Some people say you don't need it. Some people say you do need it. Some people go to college and don't even end up doing a career with what they went up to get a degree for.
So that's my thing too. It just depends on what type of person you are. Like, if you want to be a doctor, obviously you need to go get a degree to be a doctor. If you're more so on the creative side, I know a lot of people who are in brands and corporations who didn't even finish high school who are at the top of these companies, and there are people who have these big degrees, like maybe in like fashion marketing and stuff, that can't even get that job because it depends on the networks and the connections that you have. So it really just depends on what field you want to do. But I would never tell anyone to just not go to school because fuck it. Like, school education is obviously important. Being smart is important. Being articulate is important, and knowing stuff is important. But you have to know like what's smart for what career you want to do.
Jobs you had growing up, if any?
What jobs did I have? My first job was an assistant at my mom's Swedish school. There's a Swedish school of Atlanta here. I don't really know what it's doing right now, but I know when I was there, I was like an assistant. My first real job was Chuck E. Cheese. I was a party hostess. I worked with a lot of badass kids, but I made a lot of money because those daddies was tipping real good. So it was real poppin' working at Chuck E. Cheese.
Any crazy stories dealing with any of those jobs you just mentioned?
Chuck E. Cheese for sure. A lot of your husbands, you need to watch them because they be checking for them party hostesses. Like, it was pretty sad because they would try to slip me their numbers on the receipts with the wife, like, sitting right there, and I'm just like, okay.
Now, were you a teenager at this point?
I was, I believe I was 17.
So not only were they hollering at the party hostess, but they were under 18 at the time too.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's very interesting.
Now let me ask you this, and back to the college thing, I forgot to ask you, if you could do it again, would you have gone back for that time that you did do in college, or would you have...
I would probably go back, but I would have a different major, and I would... Yeah, I'd probably just go back just to say that I have at least my associates. Like, I was actually so close to getting my associate's degree. I feel like it was kind of stupid of me just to stop. But at the time, I was making money. You know, I was living life, traveling, doing all my stuff that I'm doing right now. But no, I would go back, like, if the opportunity comes up.
Now let me ask you this: what was your transition from those jobs into modeling?
It really just started with when social media started getting really poppin', like around 2011, like Tumblr and all that stuff. So while I was working these like normal jobs, I would have like a blog or I would have a Twitter, and I would just gradually start building a following just based off of, I don't know, maybe my appearance to certain people or certain things that I would say. and people just started fucking with me, and ever since then, it just kept growing.
Now, in terms of modeling, what type of model are you to be considered?
I'm a curve model, so I'm not skinny. I've never been skinny, and I don't want to be skinny, but curve. So basically, anyone who's not like a size 0 is considered a curve model. And with curve, it's basically you just model clothes that are for bigger women, I guess, even though we're not really that big. But to them, we're considered big, so.
Curve model.
Curve.
Now, how did your family feel about your career in modeling and to go into it?
Well, since it's a prestigious agency, like they're proud of me that I got signed, especially through social media. Like I didn't even have to send out a book, or I wasn't even like considering being a model. I never even like thought about it. I used to kind of like talk bad about being a model, like, oh, I could never be a model. It's so stupid. But they hit me up, and it was a good opportunity, and it's opening doors for me. So it's working out pretty well.
And the agency you're talking about is?
Wilhelmina, New York. And Chicago, right? Chicago too?
I think there's a couple cities associated with that, right?
Yeah, and like each city, you can sign to each city. So I signed to New York and Chicago. So.
Now, how long have you been part of that agency?
New York since January. I think Chicago since like March or April.
So relatively recently.
It's pretty new, so it's pretty fresh. Like we're working on my book and everything. You know, you got to get your portfolio going before you can start getting these major gigs and stuff. But it's slowly but surely coming along. It's not an easy job. People think, you know, once you sign a modeling contract that you got to like that. But the easiest part is getting signed. The hardest part is getting the bookings and the gigs and all that. You really got to work. It's competitive, especially being a curve model. It's a small market. You got to really work for it.
Now, how did that whole situation happen? Like a representative just approached you, and how does that work?
Yeah, so basically, like every other Instagram girl, I have a bookings info in my bio for this exact reason right here. I got an opportunity to sign with a big agency just by having a booking email in my bio that people complain about all the time. But as they can see, it does things for people.